I told you I don't want it. Splat. Saying this, my husband mercilessly dumped the beautifully decorated cake into the sink. Seeing the messed up cake, my son started to cry and let out his voice. Today is my son's birthday. It was a cake that my son himself had made by hand. Imagining the look of joy on my husband's face as he praises it. Why would you do that? My husband glares at me when I suddenly raised my voice. Who would enjoy such a mucky-looking cake? The cost of the ingredients is a waste of money. You could have bought a better one at the store. Don't you dare teach your son this pastry-making nonsense. I've gotta go. I'm busy at work. Clean the sink. With that, my husband put on his coat and left. You're on your way to your lover's place, aren't you? I know everything. Today was my last bet. I thought you would change what you are doing to make our son smile. I'm sorry. I hug my son, and I swear that I will never let that lousy man call himself a father again. Determined, I grabbed my phone to call someone. I am Rachel. I am a stay-at-home mom. I live in an apartment with my husband, Tyler, a salesman, and our son, Ashton. I met my husband, Tyler, at a company party, and although I am an indoor person and he is an outdoor person, we got married rather quickly. Then my son, Ashton, was born, and he grew up to a certain extent, and I went back to work. I thought my days were going well. If I had to complain, it would be that I have not been able to spend enough time with Tyler recently. I wish Tyler would pay a little more attention to family matters, since I'm also working at the same time. When I think about Ashton looking a little sad, I think about Tyler as a father. As a male parent, I think he can talk to him about things that he wouldn't with me. I have more time on my hands when it comes to housework, and I think it's only efficient for me to take care of the household in general. I don't have any romantic feelings for him anymore, and he has become a friend who is raising Ashton as a family member. That's about how I feel now. At first glance, my days seem to be normal, but Ashton's birthday is coming soon. Fortunately, this year's birthday falls on a Sunday, and I want to celebrate it in a big way. My parents, who are usually too far away to see me, will be sending me a present for Ashton's birthday. They're going to send him a present without telling me what it is. I haven't heard what it is, so I'll have to wait until the day of the party to see what they send. I'm worried about Tyler because he's working, and he sometimes goes out for work on Sundays. I made sure that he would keep his schedule open for his son's birthday, which comes but once a year. I was a little worried that he seemed to be giving me an empty reply, but I thought it would be right if I had told him in advance. As his birthday approached, Tyler was working more and more on his days off. I thought he was desperately trying to clear his schedule, so I started making lunch for him early in the morning, and I would also make him a meal that could quickly be warmed up for his late return. But then, I was told something unbelievable. A former colleague of mine who had moved told me that Tyler was walking arm in arm with a woman near his current workplace. Maybe he was just playing around. After a short pause, I received a photo of the two of them entering a hotel, even though it was daytime. I was surprised to see them walking arm in arm, but in reality, I had already witnessed the decisive moment. At first, I didn't think it was possible, but after being shown such a picture, I couldn't have blind faith any longer. I decided to sneak a peek at Tyler's computer and phone. What I found there were numerous messages that clearly indicated that he was cheating on me. They exchanged naked photos and graphic texts, as if he thought I would not notice. Tyler was apparently cheating on me whenever he said he had to work on his days off. Moreover, the text messages even suggested that the other party was married. It was further revealed that the partner in the double affair was a former colleague at work who was now a full-time housewife. To my surprise, the husband was an employee of Tyler's company's business partner. At first, I was angry and thought about questioning Tyler. But then I realized that it might not end well. Desperately calm and careful in my preparations, I asked for advice from my family at home and other trusted people in the company. If the truth be told, I wanted to immediately confront him with the divorce papers, but there was a reason why I just couldn't take the plunge right away. Ashton's birthday was coming up. Ashton had been looking forward to spending time with his father for the first time in a long time. Until Ashton's birthday passed, I decided to pretend I didn't know. I knew I would have to wait to talk to Tyler about it, but I started to preparing for the worst-case scenario. The Saturday before his birthday, Ashton and I baked a cake together. Yes, it may seem a little strange for a boy, but Ashton's hobby is baking. He had heard that a friend of his was baking cakes, and he wanted to try it himself. This year, I helped him make his own birthday cake, which was supposed to be a very fun thing to do. I want to make cakes for Mom's birthday too. My son, who said such things, may indeed be unusual, but he is a good boy who cares for others. He has grown up to be a really kind child, even though I don't remember trying hard to educate him. But then something happens to ruin that. I suddenly have to go on a business trip tomorrow. When Tyler came home, he said that. I was surprised, and Ashton was about to cry. Oh no, you've been saying this for a long time. Couldn't you have asked someone else to take over for you? I don't have a choice. It's a company order. Unlike you, I have a job with a partner. A partner, huh? I thought angrily, but I pleaded desperately for Ashton's sake. Today, your son made this cake himself so that you could try it. I couldn't help but raise my voice, and Tyler gave me a snide look. That's not such a big deal. You can always buy a cake at the store. And what about dinner? He asked. By this time, I had come to expect very little from Tyler, but I guess I still had feelings for the person I had been living with. At least eat this cake for now, and then we'll have dinner. I guess my words sounded like I was trying to be sarcastic. That's enough. I'm going out to eat, he said, and just as he was about to leave, he dumped Ashton's cake into the sink. You should stop this pastry-making hobby of yours, too. He said such a cruel thing to our son, and then he left the apartment. Ashton retreated to his room in shock. I, too, had been standing in the kitchen in front of the cake remnants with my mind completely blank. I didn't think he would treat Ashton so badly so suddenly, let alone me. Ashton's baking may indeed be an unusual hobby for a boy, but it was impossible for a parent to ruin it. How on earth he could do that, I had no idea. Even if the relationship with his mistress was that important, the bond between parent and child should be different. I realized that about 2 hours had already passed, and Tyler had not returned yet. I wondered if this might have been an affair, but I had no choice but to make up my mind. I guessed that tomorrow's business trip would be another date with his mistress. I sometimes wondered if it was the other side's convenience that made him say he was going on a business trip so suddenly. Then I got angry for the sake of my beloved son and started contacting my parents and others who could help me. I could no longer suppress my anger, not so much for my own sake, but for the sake of my son. I was going to give it a little longer to see if my husband could change. I know I sounded like an idiot, but I thought there might be some family love left in him. We had talked about this beforehand, and things went smoothly from there. I was surprised at the sudden turn of events, but by the evening of the next day, I left the house with Ashton with a present that arrived from my parents' house. I felt sorry for Ashton, who had the worst birthday ever, and also Tyler's anger became the driving force behind my actions. The destination was not my parents' house, but a hastily decided evacuation site the day before. From this point forward, my story is a mixture of what I heard through others. 2 days later, Tyler returned from his business trip, and he was surprised to see his apartment in ruins. On the table was the divorce papers, and most of the furniture and appliances were gone. Tyler had originally paid the rent for the apartment, and most of the other living expenses were shared by me. More of the household goods were also bought by me. I moved all of this out in 1 day, which was only possible because of the help of a collaborator, who will come up later. Anyway, Tyler tried to contact me first. In fact, he did contact me, but I completely ignored him at this point. So then he contacted my parents. Of course, I had already explained everything to my parents and discussed with them how to handle the situation. My parents, especially my father, were very quiet and angry about this whole thing. He told me that he no longer needs a man who would hurt his grandson, who is so cute that no one should be able to lay a finger on him. I heard that Tyler was so angry that he even said something about storming into my parents' house. But the truth is that neither I nor Ashton have returned to my parents' house. I already knew all the facts about the affair from the report by the private investigator. He was indeed very disappointed. The advice about the procedure was also from my collaborator. So, about this collaborator, to tell the truth, it was my aunt who lived near my former apartment. She is my father's sister, and although single, she works a full-time job. In fact, she is now an executive at the same company as mine and Tyler's. I started working for my current company because of my admiration for my aunt, and when I was a child, I felt as if she was my older sister. She would sometimes tell me dark jokes, such as, "When I die, please take care of the funeral." She also took care of Ashton as if he was her grandchild. Ashton himself had misunderstood when he was a child. After Ashton and I left the apartment, we took refuge in my aunt's apartment. It was a similar apartment to ours, but in my aunt's case, it was a large place where rich people lived. So we celebrated Ashton's birthday again there. To my surprise, a friend of Aunt's, a real pastry chef, made the cake directly in the kitchen. Ashton stared at it in amazement, and I was a little relieved that the memory of his worst birthday had somehow been overridden. I was a little relieved. The household goods taken out of the apartment were also brought here for a time, and we took our time to find a new place to live. But my aunt even told me that we should live here. As expected, considering Ashton's school and other things, we decided to move quickly to a new place for the two of us to live. However, on that last weekend, Ashton and I stayed at a luxury hotel with a water park to make some memories. Now, let me tell you what happened with Tyler after that. He was insisting on divorcing me, but I had already filed a claim for alimony against the adulterous partner as well. I had also sent a content-certified letter of investigation to the husband of the adulterous partner. Tyler didn't know about this yet, and we decided to meet at a cafe to talk. My aunt came with me, and Tyler was feeling uncomfortable. "Hey, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. We're a couple, right?" Even if they said such a thing now, it was him who ruined such a bond first. The affection between a man and a woman was long gone. Still, if we had respected each other, we could have at least stayed together as Ashton's parents. "Honey, do you know what I'm really angry about?" "I was stupid. We were both tired from work, and she was able to take as much time as she wants." "You don't understand at all. I can't forgive him if he tried to apologize now. If I were to forgive him, the memories of him throwing away Ashton's cake and telling him to quit baking will never leave. Still, it was my aunt, not me, who confronted him with the final verdict. After all, this one was easy enough to find out by checking with the company on the date Tyler told me that he was going on a business trip. With my aunt's help, it all turned out to be a piece of cake. So it was easy to go back and check with the private investigator. It was also clear that all the past business trips were lies. When my aunt explained this to him, this time he really seemed to be in despair. But the real despair might come when the husband of the adulterous partner demanded alimony. My aunt said, "Maybe we should get a lawyer to help us with the rest of this." Tyler nodded and we left. As I feared, things were unable to be settled quickly. The husband of the adulterer was an employee of one of the company's major clients. Tyler was transferred from the head office sales department, which is one of the most prestigious departments in the company, to the countryside. Perhaps my aunt had something to do with it. My aunt laughed and said, "An employee who has an affair is usually not given an important post if the HR department finds out about it." Tyler was sent to the Montana branch office because they thought it would be hard for me to have my ex-husband assigned to the same place of work. This one may have really been my aunt's doing. Because of his age, it would be difficult for him to change jobs and for him to pay child support. I hope he will be able to work until retirement. However, my aunt has also strictly taught me not to rely on Tyler's child support payments. I became my aunt's secretary in the company, and the nature of my job changed. My salary went up, and I became much busier than before. However, the company made it possible for me to work from home, so I was able to spend more time with Ashton than ever before. Ashton has seen how busy I am and has begun to help with the housework on his own. He soon overtook me, especially when it came to cooking, which I guess is an extension of baking. "I know you're busy, Mum, so I'll do my best to help however I can." I think my son has really grown up well enough to be able to say such things naturally. Ashton's current dream is to pursue a career in pastry making, just like the pastry chef who used to make cakes for his birthday. He has decided to go to a vocational school after graduating from high school, even though it will be a tough road. Whenever my aunt came to visit, he would make homemade sweets and serve them to her. He and my aunt had always been good friends, but after the divorce, they stayed over at each other's place. They have become like siblings who have a significant age gap. Even now, I think my greatest feat was to rely on my aunt. I didn't know how to act on my own at the time, and even now, I'm not sure I would have tolerated Tyler's action, and I might not have been able to heal Ashton's emotional trauma. My aunt jokingly said, "When I die, please do my eulogy." Of course, I would do that, but I definitely wanted to repay her for her kindness by then. We talked about that for a bit, but what my aunt said in response was, "I wanted to help someone else, just as I helped you." I don't think I will ever be able to live up to my aunt's words, but I will become strong for her.